Okay, my name's Joanna. I'm one of the teachers here and I'm teaching reading and speaking tonight. So we'll start off with our reading lesson. Tonight we're just going to be looking at one type of question that you will find in the IELTS reading test, which is true, false, and not given. Okay, so true, false, not given. This type of question can sometimes be a little bit difficult for some people, especially the not given questions where they are not quite sure how to answer this. So we're going to start by looking at some general tips for true, false, and not given. So first point is the true or false answers are always in the text. So when you're answering true or yes, because sometimes it can be yes, no, or not given, you will always find the information which will agree with the statement or disagree with the statement. So, hi Annie. So basically, don't worry if you can't find it in the text. Quite often it is because it is not given. All right, so that's our number one rule. If it's in the text, it will be true or false. If it's not in the text, it will be not given. Second point is you never need to use your own general knowledge, though sometimes it might help you guess the answer before you find it in the text. So remember that we are only ever going to use the information in the reading to answer our questions. We are never going to, let's say, rely on our own knowledge. Say we know the answer to a question. We will never rely on our own knowledge, okay? We will always go back to the text. Okay, so when you get true, false, not given statements, there's always at least one true question, one false, and one not given. So let's say you have seven questions, for example. At least one you will need to answer as true, one you will need to answer as false, and one will be not given. The next point is the statements are always in the same order as they appear in the text. So what you're doing is you're reading from top down, okay? So you'll start by looking at the first paragraph, go through, and then the next paragraph, then the next paragraph. So the answers to the questions or the statements are they're not scattered around. They should follow the same order. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now, so just regarding the not given type of answer, if you find the right part of the text, so in other words, when you're looking for your keywords in the text and you find roughly where that information is, but you can't find the answer, that means the answer is they don't mention the opposite to true and they don't give a synonym for true, then the answer is not given. So we're going to have a look at some examples soon.
Okay.
So just remember, true, false, not given. It's the same type of question format as yes, no, or does not say. So basically it's the same thing. True is yes, false is no, and not given is the same as does not say. Okay, so let's have a look at a true answer. So when a person can find the information in the text which is agreeing with the statement. So we're going to start by reading the blue passage, and the topic is about how the pyramids were built. So just reading here, the pyramids of Egypt were built more than 3,000 years ago, and no one knows how. The conventional picture is that tens of thousands of slaves dragged stones on sledges, but there is no evidence to back this up. Okay, so this is the statement that we need to agree with. So we need to say it's true or it's false or it's not given in the text. So this is the statement in the pink box. And it reads, it is generally believed that large numbers of people were needed to build the pyramids. Okay, so we go back to our text and we read here again. The conventional picture is that tens of thousands of slaves dragged stones on sledges, but there is no evidence to back this up. And so now we're looking at the statement again. It is generally believed that large numbers of people were needed to build the pyramids. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is, when we're looking at our statement, we need to scan or go back to the text and find this information. Okay, so it's talking about building the pyramids, and it's talking about large numbers of people. So that's the information that we need to look for in the text. If we go back and look at the text again, we can see some information here where I'm putting the red circle. We can see here that we've got tens of thousands of slaves dragged stones on sledges. Okay, the conventional picture is, so there is our information regarding the statement. It is generally believed that large numbers of people were needed to build the pyramids. We go back to the blue statement of the blue text, and we can see that it's talked about here. Now, whether or not this is the same as what's in the pink box is what we now need to discuss, right? So the first thing that we need to know how to be aware of is what's called a synonym. And a synonym is another word or another phrase which is very, very similar, if not exactly the same, to what is in the text. Okay, so quite often your answers, you will not find the exact word, but you will find a synonym, either one word which is matching the word in the text or more than one word, like a phrase. Okay, so here we can see in the statement box, it is generally believed, and then here in the text it says the conventional picture. Okay, so you do need to understand the meaning of this word, conventional picture. So conventional means standard, or something that most people believe. Okay, so here it says the conventional picture is that, and in here it says it is generally believed that. So the two things are the same. And what you need to be aware of is the meaning of this word here, conventional picture. Okay, so that's the first part of the statement that has been proven to be true. The second part is we've got large numbers of people. Large numbers of people. Go back to the text, and can we see something there that says large number of people? Yes, we can see tens of thousands of slaves. Well, slaves are into a person who works as a slave. So therefore, our answer is that it's true. Okay, so are there any doubts in your mind at the moment about that answer being true? Is it quite clear for you?
Yeah.
Quite clear. You can do this if it's quite clear. Yep, quite clear. Good. So synonym knowledge or vocabulary knowledge is a big part of your reading competency, we can say. If you have a wide range of vocabulary, that means that your chances of getting a high score in reading are good. Okay, so let's move on to now look at a not given answer. Okay, so here is our text. We'll just read it out slowly. Intrigued, Clemens contacted Mortessa Garib. This is a totally different topic, a totally different text. Mortessa Garib, aeronautics professor at the California Institute of Technology. He was fascinated by the idea. Coming from Iran, I have a keen interest in Middle Eastern science, he says. He too was puzzled by the picture that had sparked Clemens' interest. Okay, so we'll just have a quick look now at the statement, which is Garib had previously done experiments on bird flight. Okay, so Garib is the person, and it says here in the statement that he had done experiments. So we want to have a look for this word here, experiments, and we want to have a look for the information about bird flight. Okay, so we'll go back. And looking at the text again, we can see here is his name, Mortisa Garib, that's his surname. He's a professor at the California Institute of Technology. And it says here, he was fascinated by the idea, okay? Until now, we can't see anything about bird flight, and we can't see anything about experiment, okay? So what it does say is, coming from Iran, I have a keen interest in Middle Eastern science. So he says that he's interested in science, Middle Eastern science, all right? But nowhere does it say anything about how he did an experiment. And it doesn't give us a clear picture about the bird flight either. So this is kind of the information where we need to be looking. This is the place where we need to be looking here. But there are no matches here to the statement. There are no synonyms, right? And there are no antonyms. So antonyms, I'll just pop that in the box there. An antonym is the opposite to a synonym. Okay, so we've got antonym, which means opposite meaning, and synonym means similar meaning. So think of synonym with the S, so that will help you to remember that S is for similar. Okay, so in the pink box here, we can see that there is nothing at all that gives us information to say yes or no. Okay, it's vague. It's vague. Put that in the box. Vague. Not clear. So not clear. We can't find any synonyms or antonyms for the key words, and the key words are experiment, okay, and bird flight. Does that seem quite clear for you at the moment?
Yes.
Great stuff. Hello, MD. How are you tonight? MD, I see you've just joined us. Nice to see you. Okay, so here's just a little bit of a written explanation of what I have just said. Did Garib do experiments on bird flight before he met Clemens? Maybe he did. Maybe he didn't. No. We don't know. So the answer is not given. All right, the information is not there. Okay, so now we're going to do a practice reading ourselves, and we're going to read through a script or a text, and we've got about 7 questions or 7 statements that we're going to answer. So the first thing that we always do when we look at our reading is we look at the title. And we don't spend very long looking at the title, but we do need to look at the title to get an overview of what the topic is. Is it dealing with one of many, many topics? Is it education? Is it environment? Is it economy? Is it technology, etc.? So you basically need to just familiarize yourself with what sort of information you're going to be reading. Okay, so we're looking at the topic, UN warns over impact of rapidly aging populations. Okay, so what do you think the key word there would be in that title? You want to pop it in the box if you think you know roughly what the topic is. You can type your answer in the box. Okay, just yep, all right, aging populations. Yeah, so senior citizens, that's right, senior citizens are people who are over 65 years of age. That's right. And what about this idea of UN? Do you know what UN means?
UN, United Nations?
Pop it in the box, in the chat box. What does UN stand for? What are the 2 words? That's right, United Nations. Okay, so that's kind of the organization that's going to be like the subject in this text. Okay, good, cool. United Nations. Okay, so just what we'll do now is we'll just go straight to the first statement, right, for our true, false, or not given. So we're going to be answering true or false or not given. Remember that for true, you can just put the T. False, you can just put F in your answers, and not given, just NG. Makes it a lot quicker and saves time. Okay, so here is our first statement. The growth of the elderly population is going to make it extremely difficult to provide adequate social service provision. Okay, the growth of the elderly population is going to make it extremely difficult. So I've underlined here extremely difficult, but I'm wondering if you can also help me find you know, another key word that we need to be looking for here. You can type it in the box if you like. Other words in this sentence, what do you think we need to be focusing on for our answer? Okay, yep, very hard, yep. Anything else? Think about the grammar as well, the grammar and maybe social service. Yes, okay, good. Something else, maybe a verb rather than a noun. Think about the verb that's important here. Okay, remember verb is a doing word, so it might end in ing. Right, okay. Now, when I talk about verbs, I'm interested in looking at tenses. Okay, so my interest here is in the tense of the verb, and I'm looking at the phrase going to. Now, this is important because it's referring to the future. Okay, it's referring to the future. The growth is going to make it extremely difficult. Not that it is difficult now, but it's going to in the future. So this is why it's important to also look at the tenses so that we are not quickly finding an answer that talks about now or in the past, but rather in the future. So this is what we're looking for. So we're going to go back now to part of the text again. Remember to keep in your mind extremely difficult, social service, and going to. Okay, sorry that my text is at the bottom of the page, but we'll just have a quick scan, a quick skim through that part there. Can we see anything? Any information there, or shall we keep reading? So if you don't think there's any information there that's important, just put no in the chat box and then we'll keep reading. Okay, right, no, you're right. There's nothing there. So let's carry on. We're still in paragraph 1. Can we see anything there that might be where our answer is in paragraph 1? Okay, good. Yep, demographic shift. Okay, good. Can we see anything about, if we look at our statement again, remember our statement, sorry, I'll just have to go backwards and forwards here. Our statement is to do with extremely difficult to provide adequate social service provision. So go back. Can we see anything at all there that talks about very difficult? Can we? Good, very good.
Challenges.
Yep. Good, Honorine. So we have found the word challenging or challenges, The demographic shift will present huge challenges. There we go. Okay, and there we have our other word there, pension and system. So that is where our information is definitely, it's present there. Do we now know whether this is true or false or not given? We can see the information there, but do we also need to look for our word going to? Can we find it? Just type it in the box if you think that we've got some mention of the future there. Good. Okay, will present huge challenges. Okay, well done. So our answer is there. We've got will present, and that's the same as in the statement going to. We've got challenges, which is the same as very hard, and then we've got this other information here which matches. So our answer for the first question is it true, false, or not given, or is it yes, no, or not given? True, false, or not given, or yes, no, and not given. T. Good, true. Okay, so remember that you've got to put T for true and not Y for yes. Okay, second question. Approximately 30% of the population are over 60 years old. All right, so we've got to keep in our mind this 30%. That's 33. That's 30 out of 100. Not quite a third, but 30% is just less than a third of the population are over 60 years old. So just remember here, the tense is the present simple tense, so it's are, and then we're looking for over 60 years of age. Okay, so we're on to paragraph 2 now. So tell me in paragraph 2, can we see anything?
Estimates.
Okay, nothing about percentage. Very good, MD. Nothing yet. Okay, so shall we keep reading? We haven't come to our information yet. We keep scanning. So I'll just pop that in the box. Remember, keep scanning. Keep scanning. We'll go to the next part. And then if we keep reading, so we have here a celebration and a challenge estimates that 1 in 9 people around the world are older than 60. 1 in 9. Yeah, 1 in 9 are older than 60. That is our information in the red. Okay, let's go back to the statement just to make sure that we are using the right, we are talking about the right time. So it's present simple, are over 60 years old now, approximately 30%. Okay, does the information in the text agree, or is it the opposite to this? Is it true or is it false? Not 30%, no, so it's false. Okay, so it's 1 in 9, I don't know what that percentage is, less than 20%. Yeah, my maths isn't very good, but definitely not 30%, that's for sure. Okay, so nice easy one that we found our information and we saw that it was not correct in the statement. They said 1 in 9. Next question. Developed countries are much better prepared than developing countries. Now, this is a very tricky statement for a couple of reasons. We've got a few words here that we need to be very careful with. We need to be careful with this word developed countries, and we also need to be careful with this word developing countries. Okay, so they are trick questions. That means that they want you to think that the answer is easy to find, therefore, you know, you will get it wrong. You need to spend a bit of time reading these ones carefully because we've got 2 words which are very, very similar. So let's go back and find it in the text. Now, let me just go to where we can find it. Where is it? Got to go back and we've got to find our keyword. Okay, so we're just reading through paragraph 2. Can we see anything there in paragraph 2 about developing or developed countries? No. Okay, so keep reading paragraph 3. Anything there? No. Okay, keep reading, keep reading. Oh, okay. Whoa, we've found something maybe. Do you think it's something here? Yeah, developing. Okay, so here's one of our words. In many developing countries with large populations of young people, the challenges that government. Okay. Okay, but we've also got this reference to 2050. Okay, so we need to go back to our statement again just to double check. We need to be looking for developed countries are better prepared than developing countries for 2050. So developed and developing countries. We're still looking here. We can find developing countries. Can we find the word developed countries? The information is not there, is it? Or is it? Can we find any information about developed countries or a synonym for developed countries, or nothing yet?
No.
No, can't see anything. Information is not there. It's not there. Okay, so what we need to do at this point is we just need to keep reading to see if it's somewhere else in the text, because you just never know. You can't be too careful, right? So we're just going to go ahead to the next paragraph, looking for developed. Developed, can't see anything there. Developed, nothing there. Okay, we've got developing world there in paragraph 7, but there really isn't any information in the text about developed countries being better prepared. Okay, so we've just got to be very careful that we are looking everywhere, not just in one paragraph. Okay, so we'll just pop there, double check in other paragraphs, see if the information is somewhere else. Okay, so we've checked the whole text and we can't see any other paragraphs that have that information. So we can assume at this point that it's not given. Okay, we can assume that it's not given because there simply isn't enough information to give us a true or a false answer. Okay, so let's move on to our next question, number 4. More financing is necessary. So this is one of our words here. Financing is necessary to ensure new pension schemes are successful. Okay, so we want to make sure that we're looking for information about financing. What does financing mean? What are some other words related to financing?
Funding.
Just pop it in the box. Fund, go. Yeah. Funding, yeah. Anything even more simple than funding? Income, yeah. Even a simple word like money, right? Money or financial support or something like that. Yeah, okay. All right, so we're looking for something about financing and something to do with pension schemes being successful, financing. Okay, so let's go back. All right, so we're now up to paragraph 4 because we've answered question 2 there, but let's go to paragraph 4. We're looking for something to do with money and the success of the pension schemes. Can we see anything there? No. Moving on. Still in paragraph 4, can we see anything?
Economic independence to ensure.
I must say I made it a little bit easy for you because I do use a different colour. What words can you see that jump out as being a synonym? Yes, that could be a trick though. That could be like a little trick to distract you. Economic independence is related to money, but is it the same as the word that we're looking for, financing? No, it's not the same. So find another one. What's the key word? You can type your answer in the box. New schemes, okay, not quite. I'll just show you the statement again. More financing is necessary to ensure new pension schemes are successful.
Okay.
Can we find another word there in paragraph 4? Something to do with financing. Not quite legislation. Starts with F. The first letter is F. Can you see that word there?
Funded?
Yeah, funding. Yeah. So there is our word just there, funded. Okay. What they're saying here is it's stressed that it was not enough to simply pass legislation. The new schemes needed to be funded properly. Now, although we have this tense in the past, it's a trick because really what they're saying is they're referring to what needs to be done in the past, but it really refers to the future. So it's kind of like a trick grammar clause to make us think that, oh no, they're talking about the past, but actually they're talking about the future. So even though the tenses are not the same, see here we've got more financing is necessary. Okay, so that's present simple tense. But then we go back to the text and we see here that we've got a past simple. Maybe that's not the answer. But actually this is where your grammar knowledge needs to come in. And yes, that is the answer. And the answer is the same as the statement. Okay, so we've got the synonym funding or fund.
Fund.
Which is the same as finance. Okay, happy with that?
Yes.
Yeah. This one maybe isn't as clear as the last ones that we've done, but it's still enough information to say that the statement is true because the information is there in the red. Is everyone happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one, we're going over to number 5. Elderly people in India are not always being looked after as well as they were in the past. So this is what we need to be looking for. Information about elderly people in the past being looked after. Okay, being looked after is what information about the past and about elderly people being looked after. So elderly people in the past, well looked after. Okay, can we see the information in paragraph 5? Yeah, what can you see? What word can you see that looks similar to our statement? Yep, so look after is the same in the statement, same words. Okay, but that's too easy, right? Too easy if it's the same word. What other word have we got there to make sure that we are looking at the right part? Have been, yep, okay, yep. Have been well looked after. So that's a referral back in the past. So good, that's when we're using our tense, good. And there's one more word.
Traditionally? Says about the past?
Good. Traditionally. Okay, well done. So if we look at our statement again. So elderly people in India are not always being looked after as well as they were in the past. Okay, so we've found our information. Now we just have to double check that our statement is true or false. So we're going to read here. Traditionally, people in India live in large extended families, and elderly people have been well looked after. So this is in the past. But, so see this but here? But the trend now is to have smaller nuclear families, and many of the country's elderly are finding themselves cast out. Okay, so do you know the meaning of cast out?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So now in present day, they are not being well looked after as they were in the past. Correct? Elderly people in India are not always being looked after as well as they were in the past. So is our statement true or false?
Yes, true.
Happy with that? Everyone happy? Yeah. So the answer is there. And that one was quite an easy one, I think. Okay, number 6. India is starting to deal with the neglect of its elderly population. Okay, so we're looking at India is starting to deal with the neglect. Okay, what does neglect mean?
Not taking care. Avoiding.
Can you think of another way to say neglect?
Avoid.
Type it in the box. Avoid. Good, excellent. Yeah. So neglect means when you don't care for somebody, not consider, right? You don't consider, you don't care, you don't look after. So our statement is dealing with India is starting to deal with. So deal with means find a solution for the elderly population because they are being neglected. Remember before in the text we saw the word cast out?
Yes.
Remember that? Cast out means pushed out, pushed out of the house. Goodbye, grandma, goodbye. You guys go and sort yourselves out. We don't need to look after you. So in the text, if we go back and try and find it now. Okay, so we've looked at this information in paragraph 5 about what's happening now, but we haven't found the information about what India is starting to do, dealing with it. Okay, so we're going to read paragraph 6 and see if we can find anything at all about how India is dealing with this problem. So here we've got mental abuse. Okay, so this could be similar to neglect. Okay, suffered by the elderly. It is slowly becoming a widespread social problem, particularly in urban areas, one which India still has not got to grips with. So you can see that I have put it in red because that is the answer, but they don't use the same words, do they?
No.
So they're using the phrase get to grips with in the text. And in our statement, we find the words deal with. Okay, so that's a tricky one because maybe you don't know the meaning of get to grip with, but the fact that we've got this word not may just help us guess a little bit that it's negative, that it's the opposite of what deal with is. So basically by using a negative form, we can assume that the answer is the opposite to the statement. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Is that clear?
Yeah.
So MD, you're saying T, so you're saying that the statement is true. Let's go back to our statement. India is starting to deal with the, neglect of its elderly population. No. All right, let's go back and look again. We can find other words. Still. Okay, see that word there? Still has not got to grips with. So still means not yet, doesn't it? So they still need to do it. Everybody happy with our answer? Our answer is false, of course.
False.
Okay. Okay.
Another way to say that it is
Let's
false.
move on to our final statement, which is, oh, sorry, the Word document didn't come out quite the right way that I had at home. But anyway, Bolivian families look after their elderly relatives. So now we've moved on to a different country. So Bolivia is a new, they're not talking about India, they're talking about Bolivia, which is another country. And then they're talking about elderly relatives better than any other developing countries. So I just wanted you to be careful with wording like this, and I'll show you the words better than any other developing countries. So this is really quite an extreme, what we call an extreme statement. Better than any other developing countries. So the word better than any other is important in this statement because we do need evidence to support that Bolivia is doing a better job than any other country in the world. Okay, so we've got to be very careful with the wording. We go back to the text and we'll find, yeah, that's right, the best. That's very good, MD. Okay, so we're going on to paragraph 7 now, and I'm going to let you just have a quick read on your own.
Okay. Good practice.
That's the information about Bolivia, developing world, and the treatment that they give their elderly. Yeah, good practice, great. So we're in the right area for our information is definitely around this part here, good practice. And developing world is what we need now, but we need more information to answer this question. We need information about the best in the world, in the developing world. Bolivian families look after their families better than any other developing countries. Okay, so we need to go back and see if we can find anything about other developing countries. There's no comparing. Good. There's no other mention of other developing countries who are doing the same sort of thing. So although we have the information about developing world, Bolivia, good practice, we don't have any comparison to other developing countries. Okay, does that make sense? So it didn't seem very hard that time, did it? It seemed like that one was quite okay to answer.
Yeah.
So just a quick summary now on what we have been looking at. Okay, so our question number 3, which was a not given, I did talk about it already, but developed countries are much better prepared than developing countries for 2050. Here is the explanation here. In the reading, we are told that developing countries are not prepared. This does imply that developed countries are better prepared. However, do you know if they are much better prepared? So these words like much better prepared, you have to be careful with. Okay. All right. And here's our answer for number 6. India is starting to deal with the neglect of its elderly population. False. You often need to understand synonyms in the reading test. Deal with means the same as get to grips with. The sentence tells us India is not dealing with its problems, so the information in the text contradicts the statement. And for number 7, Bolivian families look after their elderly relatives better than any other developing countries. Not given. So here you may have chosen true, but the paragraph does not tell you if Bolivian families are the best of all developing countries. Okay, it's held up as a good example and is better than India, but there could be others. Okay, so that answer is not given. So that's the reason why with our true, false, not given, going back to the beginning of the lesson, if you find the right part of the text but you can't find the answer is not given. Okay, so if there's no synonym or no antonym for the information, then you can assume it's not given. So you work on that basis. Work on the basis that Does that make sense for everybody?
Yeah. Yes.
Just looking to see. Are there any questions at the moment? That brings us to the end of the reading lesson.